It's not looking good. It's quite sad to see that. So my people were very upset about it. I can't imagine there's anything on him, frankly, because, as we said, there's no collusion. There's no collusion whatsoever. But a lot of lawyers thought that was pretty sad.
That from last night, returning home from Camp David, Special Counsel Bob Mueller under fire for sweeping up thousands of Trump transition team emails. They're fired up about this, but is it an issue in the end? Alan Dershowitz, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus, and sir, welcome back here and good morning to you. I got a few specific questions for you. Emails in a moment. Trump says he won't fire Mueller. He said that last night. Did you even see that as a possibility? Let's start there.
It's a legal possibility. He would have it within his authority. It would be foolish to do. He has Mueller in a good position now. A lot of the American public think he's biased against Trump, and that may lead him, because he cares so much about his reputation, to lean over backwards in favor of Trump. So if I were Trump, I wouldn't try to fire him. I would continue to keep the pressure on and raise issues about the emails, etc. Now, Mueller's playing into his hands. Mueller was really foolish in not seeking warrants for those emails. It's a close question, but why not seek the warrant? Getting warrants is like getting candy at Christmas. It's very easy to get, and not getting the warrant gives the defense an opportunity to challenge it in court.
Well, okay, there's an interesting answer on that. Let me circle back on that, but just answer this broad question. Do you think Mueller has a credibility problem, or is that just an opinion on behalf of some Republicans in Washington and some folks at the White House?
I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I think he has a credibility problem. He should have been more careful about who he hired. He should have immediately disclosed in public that he had taken that FBI agent off the case after his messages came out. I think he has a credibility problem on these emails without a warrant. I think he has a credibility problem if he used the dossier in order to get national security wiretaps. He has been conducting a sloppy investigation, and that's atypical of him. I'm surprised. When you're going after the president, you have to be Caesar's wife. You have to be above reproach. You can't give the other side any ammunition, and he has given the other side plenty of ammunition.
Okay, so that brings us to the broad question about these emails. Andrew Napolitano last hour said it's no big deal. First-year law students know that this is a possibility. They're government documents, he argues. In addition, he argues this. Give it a listen.
The trustee says, we just found out that all of our records were subpoenaed by Bob Mueller. Therefore, Bob Mueller did a bad thing. He didn't. First of all, Bob Mueller doesn't subpoena anybody. A grand jury does. And in order to get a grand jury subpoena, Mueller's people have to testify before it under oath as to why they need the record.
So that would directly contradict the legal finding that you're issuing here, Professor.
Well, Judge Napolitano should know better. Getting a subpoena from a grand jury is routine and rote. I've never heard of a case where a grand jury ever turned down a subpoena request. He would have been much better off seeking a judicial warrant. I agree, it's a close question. Is the transition a government entity or is it a private entity? It's somewhere in between.
Are you saying
and
it's
it may be the court's
close question or closed question?
It's a close question. No, close question. It could go either way in the courts. I can imagine a court saying the transition is different from a sitting president, and you just don't want to open up every single email sent by transition members to each other to being able to be reviewed by a prosecutor without showing any degree of probable cause. So I think it was foolish for Mueller not to take the precautionary step of seeking a warrant, which he easily would have obtained.
So you're arguing that you could find a favorable judge and get the emails tossed out. Napolitano is arguing if the FBI is reading your emails during the transition period, then you go in for an interview, and you had no idea those emails were exposed to the Justice Department or the special prosecutor, you could be up against the wall. And that was the primary point the judge was making on that.
Well, every time I take my client in for an interview, I demand to see what they have and what they've subpoenaed. So my client is not out there in the open here in the cold, not knowing what they've subpoenaed. I also ask my client what emails he's ever sent, what his vulnerabilities are. You have to prepare a client very carefully to be interviewed by either the FBI or by a grand jury. Too many people have gone to jail for telling lies to prosecutors, most people don't even know that it's a crime to lie to a prosecutor. They know it's a crime to lie under oath, but you have to prepare your witnesses very carefully to speak to an FBI agent. I generally don't allow my clients to speak to FBI agents except in extraordinary cases.
Okay, there will be developments on this, as you well know. I certainly hope you can come back, okay? And we'll
Thank
go
you
back
so
and
much.
forth on it again. Thank you. Alan Dershowitz with us today in Miami, Florida.